the plate thereof on file in the Register of Deeds Office. 2, that because of failure of a lawful consideration, he said fractional reserve banking is not lawful consideration. And in a contract with this, you must have offer, acceptance, consideration. He's saying that consideration was not legal tender. It was done illegally. That because of failure of a lawful consideration, the note of mortgage dated May 8, 1960 are null and void. Well, if that's what the banks are doing to the Aussies, don't go chasing the mortgages too quick to put the Aussie out of the house. 3, that the share of sale of the above described premises held June 26, 1960 is null and void, of no effect. Big judgment this. You can't find it in the law books, you can't find it in the law libraries. It's been taken out. I was talking to one farmer one time and I said, I cannot find that Jeremy Daly judgment. I've been looking in the law books, in the libraries, on the internet, even letters overseas. So I'll ring you back in an hour. I think I got it under my bed. That's how we got it. Another farmer had it and he had it under his bed.
Hallelujah.
You can't find this by normal looking. It's gone. 4, that the plaintiff has no right, title or interest in said premises or lien thereon. Hasn't. Why? Because he said you created it by fractional reserve banking.
Fraud.
Refrain from the word. Judge says, let us leave that word alone for a little while. We'll introduce it at the correct time, but you actually let the jury say that. You're already saying that as part of the jury, so I'm assuming what you're saying. But we yet have to let... So we can have what you call a common law verdict. That's what's happening here. But it's not worth... You can't get a sheriff to act on that verdict. You've got to get this judgment from the courtroom. Banking and newspapers. Now we're going to run through them. Commonwealth Bank, now these shareholders are 2004 from memory. Sorry, go back, Darren. So it will be Commonwealth Bank, ANZ, Westpac and NAB, 10 shareholders, and then West Australian newspaper, and then the Commonwealth Bank articles, and then an extract from what Nugget Coombs said, and he was the governor of the Reserve Bank, so Nugget was in a high spot. Now that's your Commonwealth Bank, 10 shareholders. Look at number 1, Yankee Bank. Next one. Look at number 1, Yankee Bank. All fractional reserve banks, all linked to the Federal Reserve System. All the banks that says, Rudd says, we will guarantee all the deposits. Problem is you've got to go back to the banks to get it. The same banks as Tremoring. Westpac, 2004. Look at the 10, because they all interlock with the others. Now we look at the West Australian newspaper. Look at those 5. Do you get any truth from the West Australian newspaper? Well, what you're getting is a bank periodical, aren't you?
Yes.
So why would they print something that would affect their share?
The one.
Well, are they concealing?
Yes.
What?
Truth. Fact.
Is it a criminal offence?
Yes.
You're the jury. But we're going to pop up something really big here. Please pay attention. There's your memorandum articles of the Commonwealth Bank. Look at the date on the left-hand side bottom, April 1991. Did you give consent and agree to sell that bank?
No.
Was that bank yours?
Yes.
Yes.
In what way? Obviously bound to section 51 of the Commonwealth Constitution, the section that dealt with incorporation of banks and banking, etc., etc. Now, did you give consent under that section to sell that bank in 1991 to the private banks? Because you saw the shareholders of the Commonwealth Bank. It should have said no shareholders, the electorate is. Should it? But there's your last page. That's page at the top, page 50. So it's a 50-page document. So what we've done is we jumped from front page to back page, and it's now showing you that it's dated 16th of December, April 1991. This document has arrived at ATSIC, which now shows the sale of the bank and those directors, or whatever, signing off to sell it. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know any corporation law whatsoever, but I suspect there's probably a seal required. Possibly. Or there's possibly other stuff required on that page. I'm not interested in that page. I'm interested in, see that signature on the top right? At the bottom it says A.S. Cole, member of the board. I'm interested in what that man does at page 3 of these articles. That's the next slide. Here he signed off, purportedly, 586 million shares. But look at the top right-hand side of the page. Signature of witness. Who witnessed this man signing this off?
Nobody.
You're the jury. Do you want that bank back?
Yes.
Do you need that bank back?
Yes.
Do you need that bank back to secure your homes?
Yes.
Do you need that bank back to tell these preachers you don't know what you're talking about?
Yes.
You're the jury. ATSIC has to produce the other document now with that signature in there, and then it's got to be under cross-examination in the witness box as to who signed that witness. Do you think they'll sweat?
Yes.
I said I did it yesterday, but I didn't realise the ink dried a bit longer. I said, you got immunity if you dob in who told you to do that. I want immunity. That's exactly what I'll do. Now, wouldn't you think they would have been smart enough to take the mop off the janitor and say, come and witness this? But who let them make the mistake?
God.
Because the leader of the occult once told me, and she'd been 6 years a Christian, she said every one of our programs never got to where we wanted them to get to because something always went wrong. And I said, well, who do you think pulled the rug? She said, I know it was God now, but I didn't then. Well, who's pulled the rug here? Why? To give you the security of the Commonwealth. Is Rudd sitting legally?
No.
Is Gillard sitting legally?
No.
You're the jury. How are we doing?
Good.
Because all we need is a decision. We've got the court actions happening. The court actions are happening. We've got one in the Supreme Court in West Australia. There are 2 High Court writs sitting there for a judge to sign off, and they've been sitting there now for 5 weeks. The pen is poised. I wonder why he poised the pen. Dated this 16th day of April 1991. Did anyone know that you sold your bank on that day? Is that obtaining property by deception?
Yes.
That's a pretty simple criminal charge. And I said to a guy the other day, I need one plaintiff to charge the CEO of the Commonwealth Bank on those articles and take it into the Melbourne Magistrates Court, and 28 days later they have to be in the Melbourne Magistrates Court to defend that. The DPPs will show up, take it over, decline to present, then they walk across the road and file it for grand jury. So that means it's in grand jury process 1 month after the trial, after the laying the complaint. Anyone want to put their hand up?
Yeah. Why not?
And as I said to the guy who I was talking to, he said, you're looking to the guy who'll file that.
Why?
At this moment, no. But that's all you file on. Because that's all you want a grand jury to look at. That's a pretty simple charge. Grand jury would say, if that's the best they can do, your legal sale, you've got your indictment. They would then say, now the point I'm making there is the treason issues are already at that standard at the grand jury. We need something that blocks the bank at the same standard at the same time. And that nullifies the power they have at this point of time. Because they intend to wreck the Aussie, take the house, farms, businesses off them and give them to government control.